several approaches exist to grow or scale a small business. Some would recommend growth hacking strategies for aggressively marketing your products or services. In contrast, others would say that the only way to cross $10 million in revenue would be through inorganic growth. If you asked any business owner or executives, 90% of them, including me, would suffer from dream reality confusion. Some claiming their growth ambitions to be as high as 3 times in the next 3 years. Yet the stark reality is that 90% of the SMB businesses rarely grow and join the list of fastest growing companies or would ever become Fortune 500 corporations. Marketing calls it crossing the chasm, while others blame it on the people, mindset, or culture issue. This video discusses the issues SMBs face with their growth and the strategies to overcome these challenges. While growth consultants may emphasize specific buzzwords or strategies, growth plans require you to double down on the already proven strategies, remove any bottlenecks, and streamline the processes to optimize the results further. None of it would be possible unless you have tons of data to analyze corporation-wide performance and each channel's efficiency. Let's take an example of our recent conversation with a CEO with ambition to grow their business. They had recently started investing a lot in marketing and sales channels and wanted to grow 3 times in the next 3 years. The executives that have gone through the process of growth or scaling would agree that 3 times growth in the next 3 years is not realistic. If you take a CFO's perspective, they would typically forecast each account on a P&L by multiplying with a factor to accommodate all sources of revenue and cost. This approach or the method of forecasting assumes that the growth is linear. In other words, the assumption is that if you spend 3 times on a trade show or a marketing channel, you would get 3 times leads. And those 3 times leads would be equally predictable to convert as your existing prospects. Even though 90% of the business plans contain similar assumptions, a sales leader experienced in forecasting opportunities can spot a flaw in this approach within 30 seconds. A savvy executive would red flag any plan without performance history. A sales leader is likely to trust an opportunity from an existing buyer than from a buyer without prior experience or relationship. Growing revenue or finding new revenue channels is always hard, but scaling operations to fulfill revenue isn't any easier, especially if the processes include significant manual intervention. The linear approach of forecasting assumes that if you added as many employees, sites, or machines to the business processes, the processes would linearly scale and fulfill the revenue. So how do you plan the growth? Well, the best way to plan the growth would be to identify already proven strategies, forecast the impact, and continuously measure. Basically a lot of rinse and repeat without shooting in the dark. While it's easy to write down these strategies on a piece of paper, also referred to as a business plan, it's much harder to measure them in the real world. These strategies could be anything starting from new product ideas, new production processes, new warehouse picking methods, or new pricing or discounting schemes. The best way to find proven strategies would be to slice and dice your P&L in micro segments, each segment aligned with a potential revenue source. For example, if you have 4 marketing channels, your website, trade shows, existing customer referrals, and industry network events, or it could be based on 3 customer segments, large, medium, or small. You could segment these P&Ls based on product, processes, strategy, or any of their combinations. Once you have identified your segments, now divide your past P&L into one of these segments. Then find ones that have brought the most revenue and grown the most in the past periods. For example, if the trade show is the highest performing channel for you, you may want to further segment the P&Ls based on each trade show as a variable. Next, you may want to research your market to find comparable trade shows that you can attend to bring the similar revenue and P&L. Making your booth bigger at your existing trade show could be another option to grow your P&L with an existing proven source. However, you need to compare both options to assess the highest ROI from both sources. Likewise, You could follow a similar approach with all non-overlapping sources of revenue and P&L to identify the proven strategies that may have potential to serve as a growth bucket for you. While the revenue approach might be slightly straightforward to understand and implement, the same approach applies to cost too. For example, if you have a P&L related to a current product or process that you believe you can further streamline, you could do so by automating, optimizing the workflow, making it lean, batching the jobs, or any other techniques available for your specific business situation. Once you have identified the improvement strategy, you would consider try to find all accounts that have an impact because of this strategy. Then measure the impact each account has because of this potential improvement and create an incremental P&L. Once you have analyzed all potential revenue sources and their respective P&Ls, you might find several incremental sources that you could use to create pro forma P&L statements. You would create these pro forma statements by summing up all potential incremental revenue sources. This method has high chances of being closer to the actual P&L numbers once you are ready to test. It is likely to be more accurate because it is based on the market potential of each micro segments as opposed to generalized extrapolation of accounts. While there could be several variables that could impact this model, its success hinges on your understanding of the market and the quality of your market research. If the market research is based on generalized assumptions, as with the traditional forecasting model, your forecasting accuracy may suffer. These micro P&Ls will also serve as a testing bed for you to measure the performance in the current period based on your hypothesis. In the traditional approach, you would try to forecast the ratios, perhaps based on your past trends. In this approach, however, rather than focusing on ratios, you would focus on the individual P&Ls and track them on an individual basis. The tracking and improvement needs to be a continuous process, for which you would need tons of data and a system that is capable of producing real-time insight at your fingertips. So you could revise the model in real time to improve your forecasting accuracy further. Most traditional businesses rely on outdated methods of forecasting as they rely on spreadsheets for budgeting and planning. If you don't have a fully integrated system and are relying primarily on spreadsheets for planning, implementing this model and improving your forecasting accuracy is nearly impossible. To implement this model, you would need a fully integrated system that is capable of providing the high-level insight at the P&L level. It should also allow you to segment the P&L based on your model variables. While such insight would help with monitoring, you would also need the ability to compare your budgeted and the actual numbers in an interactive dashboard. So you could compare and tweak the model in real time as you learn more about your channels and markets as they evolve. Without such a system, the model would have significant forecasting accuracy, and even if you allocate resources to reconcile and duplicate data across systems, you might still not get the timely insight that this model would require. Thank you so much for watching this YouTube video. If you have any questions or comments, please post below. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you might have. Also, if you would like to see a deeper video on any of the topics discussed, or perhaps one that is customized for your business process, please post and we'll be happy to record them for you. If you need any extra help with your ERP implementation, please feel free to reach out to me directly on my coordinates and I'll be more than happy to guide you. Also, please feel free to connect on LinkedIn or Twitter. We share really exciting content on digital transformation, ERP, and marketing automation through our social channels. Once you add us or follow, you will always be updated with the latest and greatest content. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please ensure you hit the bell button after subscribing so you are notified with our newer videos right away. Also, if you like this content, please help spread the word out on social channel or quote us on your blog post. Thanks again and see you around.